Welcome back. My guest in this segment is Adrian Rothwell, CEO of Core Mining Ltd, trading on the TSX Venture under the symbol KORE. Adrian, welcome.
Thank you.
Adrian, to be a mining guy these days is truly a labor of love, but you have been at it for 24 years, you were saying?
That's right, yeah. So it is a labor of love, and the 5 years, the most recent 5 years have been testing for sure in the gold sector. But
you've managed to put together quite an assembly of assets, and they look quite promising from a former mining enthusiast perspective. Tell me about the flagship projects and the rest of them too.
Sure. Well, Core, we just listed in the last week, symbol KORE, through a reverse takeover. And through that, we have 4 projects of interest to us. We brought along 2 development stage projects in California, one of which we acquired from Gold Corp. The other one is an old Royal Gold project, and we acquired that from Vista Gold. They're called the Imperial and Long Valley projects. Through the reverse takeover I referred to, we acquired 2 really good quality exploration projects in the Caribou region of BC as well. Yeah, so those projects we've actually done some drilling on, and we're awaiting results. Okay.
The most recent press release you had that you drilled 25.7 meters, 1.3 grams per ton gold, and 11 meters of 2 grams per ton gold. And that was at your Gold Creek project in the Yukon territory?
No, that's in the Caribou.
Okay,
that's in the Caribou, yeah. We also have some Yukon projects that came from the incumbent reverse takeover company, Eureka Resources.
Okay.
They're in the White Gold District. But yeah, what's interesting about the drilling we just completed at Gold Creek was really, we'd spent the last 8-9 months while doing the reverse takeover process, going back for probably over 30 years of data and looking at soils and geochemical and geophysical anomalies and really mapping that out on that project. And one thing that we came away with, and historic drilling I should say as well, there was a drill program last year by Eureka. What we came away with was about an 8.5 kilometer trend of arsenic in soils, and we also found from last year's drilling and from the gold in soils and geophysical work that that was a really good indicator for where gold mineralization was. And so we mapped it out, we got our drill targets for this year, and we stepped out 300 meters from where the drilling was last year to test this target and test this theory. And so really excited to see the last 3 holes. But on the first hole, it basically confirmed that thesis, that the gold mineralization is there, and the higher arsenic in soils is a great indicator for that. And the arsenic's not high enough to be a problem, it's there as an indicator.
Sure. Okay, so just for the sake of my audience has become less mineral cognizant and focused.
Yeah.
So take me through the value proposition of a company like this for an investor. If I was to say to an investor, they'd say, oh, yeah, I saw you had a gold company on. How does that work relative to a cannabis investment? How would I explain that to them?
Yeah, well, you know, I can't speak to what the value proposition is for cannabis stocks.
Light it up, you get high.
Yeah, there you go. But really, for a gold stock, it's about 2 things. Discovery, which is generally more prevalent in those earlier stage exploration projects. And this is why we like the Fraser Gold or FG Gold and Gold Creek projects in the Caribou as well. They're a little earlier stage, lots of discovery potential, and you know, you just talk about the gold rush, and that is what creates value in this industry. The other one is looking for opportunities to acquire good quality assets for a low valuation, and adding like our Imperial project, for instance, and Long Valley. These are projects that are very extensively studied. They're well known. They have Imperial has a historic feasibility study on it, and there's very little work that is necessary to get that into a mine. So what you're really looking for there is the re-rating of that valuation to full value, which you will get once you are in operation or once you become a mine. Now that's a longer lead time. And I guess there's a third valuation is buying and selling. You know, so buying and selling these assets. So, you know, if we're finding a buyer for Imperial, for instance, is one example of that.
Okay.
So
great. So then, in terms of the gold market generally, you know, it's more or less been characterized by sideways movement on average over the last 5 years. What is, and obviously the interest in gold stocks, exploration companies, is very much correlated to the price of gold generally. Now, when it starts to trade sideways, the price of gold can jump up or jump down. Nobody cares. At what point in the price of gold do you see that the interest will come back to gold on a sort of broad-based level across the investor spectrum?
well, first of all, gold price, yes, it's been moving sideways within a pretty narrow band for the last 3 years, almost. There's still opportunities in that sector. And so we talked about the total volume of money may have not changed or probably decreased since cannabis and blockchain has taken a lot of speculation capital out of that market. But there's still opportunities within that sector. So, and that's based on discovery and exploration as well. In terms of where gold price is going and what would drive that, you know, gold is very much inversely correlated with the US dollar. So while we see a strong stock market and US economy, you're going to see gold really trundling along where it's at right now.
I guess that's the opportunity too from a long-term investor's perspective. Asset prices are cheap, stock prices are cheap. Buy a position now that you know you're not looking to flip in cannabis time, which would be like 2 weeks.
You really see when you start seeing cracks in the U.S. economy or the world economy, for that matter. It's a good time to start investing in gold. And we think we're starting to see that in the US. And you know, this is a time where you can rotate out of those stocks, earn some money, and invest in gold or gold stocks. And gold stocks as a proxy for gold. Right.
Do you see that? I mean, I listened to a lot of the cryptocurrency arguments coming from essentially what was a younger libertarian crowd who would have traditionally been the replacement generation for the gold bugs of our generation. And you know, the rhetoric is the same, but they're proposing cryptocurrency is somehow superior to gold, though it lacks gold's natural governing limitations, such as, you know, the difficulty of extracting it and its scarcity.
Yes.
We've certainly seen that cryptocurrencies, while maybe Bitcoin has a limit of 21 million in its totality, we can have 55 different versions of Bitcoin, Ripple, Ethereum, and it's essentially endless.
Yes.
So it's, in many respects, it's even more pernicious than a US dollar situation, if you ask me. So that's why I'm glad to see the cryptocurrencies kind of being put in their place, setting the stage for when the next sort of global recession starts to manifest, that people will just sort of recognize, okay, like cryptos, maybe not, but gold, definitely. So I think it's a great time.
Yeah, me too. I mean, gold's a physical asset.
Yeah.
So you can't duplicate it, and you know, you got to find it somewhere.
Yeah.
You know,
and you can't delete it.
No, you cannot delete it. And Exactly.
All right, cool. Well, Adrian, tell you what, we're going to watch your gold or your drill programs with interest, and we'll come back to you in a quarter's time or so and see how you made out. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you very much.